Your unique story, our global audience. Global One Media.
Welcome, everyone, to Global One Media's exclusive one-on-one discussions with executives as they share insights into their unique journey. I'm your host, Ashley Berry, and we're thrilled you're joining us. Today, we're welcoming Galen McNamara, CEO and Director at Summa Silver Corp. The Canadian junior mineral exploration company is focused on high-grade silver and gold discoveries in famous American mining districts, including central Nevada and southwestern New Mexico. Summa Silver is listed on the TSXV as SSVR, the Frankfurt Exchange as 48X, and the OTCQX as SSVRF. Galen, true pleasure to have you with us today.
Hi, Ashley. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So let's jump right in. Maybe you could provide a brief introduction to your company, including the mission and vision, as well as the story about how it all began.
Sure. Yeah, that's always a good place to start. So Summa Silver is a company that I founded a little over 3 years ago now, with the idea of looking for high-grade silver assets in the United States. And even more specifically than that, I'm a geologist, as I'm sure we'll get into. You find that when you go into these old Wild West places, these old towns and districts that in their heyday were very big producers of silver and gold and really helped shape those days in the American West. But you fast forward to today and not much has gone on there in the past 100 years. And you find that when you take a modern approach and do the modern geology, that you find that there's a lot of times a lot of juice left to squeeze in these places. And that's the mission we've been on for the past 3 years on our projects in Nevada, New Mexico, is trying to really wrap our arms around what could be remaining in both of these old places. But it's definitely looks like it's very significant.
Great analogy there. Maybe you could talk about your two main projects that you're most excited about, the Mogollon and Hughes projects and their potential. What progress has been made thus far, and what are the next steps for each project?
Yeah, so let's start with the one that we're currently doing some exploration drilling on, called the Hughes project in central Nevada. It's halfway between Reno and Las Vegas on the highway. And before I talk about the details, it used to be owned by Howard Hughes. So that's why I named it the Hughes Project, to give it a little tip of the cap to the history. But, a lot of people don't know about Nevada. Of course, we all know Vegas and places like that. But what a lot of people don't know about Nevada is that it's called the Silver State. And that's for a reason. It's because of these two very, very prolific past producing silver areas. One is the Comstock Lode up near Reno. And then the other one is the Tonopah mining district, which is where we're working, halfway between Reno and Las Vegas. So we have the eastern half of the Tonopah mining district. District-wide produced something like 175 million ounces of silver, between, say, 1900 and around 1950. And since then, really no modern exploration has been done. So our focus has been a systematic scientific approach that looks to say, okay, let's drill areas where we think that we know that there's silver remaining. And so far we've been successful. So what we're doing here over the next few months on that project is basically continuing our work over the last few years, where we're taking big step outs from the entire district, looking for extensions of the entire districts. And, myself and the team ask ourselves, okay, where's the next 100 million ounces of silver going to be around here? And we're going to take a shot at finding it out. So that's one project. The other project that we're working on very, very hard and have really been focused on in the last year or year and a half is the Mogollon mining district in southwestern New Mexico. Here we haven't done as much work, but the holes that we have drilled in New Mexico have been, I think it's safe to say, world class. And not to get too far into numbers, but our best hole is about 450 grams per ton silver equivalent over 31 meters. I mean, if you can imagine how long 31 meters is, it's about 100 feet. So that's quite an intersection of silver mineralization. And we really need to follow up on that. And that's what we're going to be doing when we get back there in the fall. But I mean, big picture, we've drilled, a vein over a length of 500 meters. There's 50 kilometers of vein and prospective structure on the project with no modern exploration on it. So we're pretty excited about that one too. And my personal opinion and that of our technical team is that we think that could be really one of the great remaining vein fields left in the United States.
Fantastic. So if you could kind of break it down in layman's terms for those that don't really understand, you talk about the intersection of mineralization and the vastness of it. Perhaps you could break it down a little bit in layman's terms to help us understand what exactly you're talking about.
Yeah, of course. That's the question. Understanding what, if you're looking at mining companies, understanding what we're talking about. Well, so I like to equate this to going back in time with like modern weapons, and that imagine you could go back to any of these old places in Mexico that the Spanish mined going back 500 years ago, and even the indigenous people before that, and getting a fresh start at it with modern methods. That's the opportunity that we have in front of us on both of these projects.
Fantastic. Let's talk about some of the unique challenges that have arisen in the course of working on these projects and sort of how you approach overcoming them.
Yeah. Well, of course, everything, there's always challenges in every endeavor. But for us, we started this company right at the beginning of the pandemic, right in March, April of 2020 is when we got this thing started. And look at what everybody is dealing with in the last 3 years. You're looking at inflation is an issue across all parts of the business. Finding labor has been a challenge, especially when we're looking for people to drill. And then I think lastly, it's safe to say that the supply chain thing has also been a challenge for us in finding parts that we need for our equipment to run, to run our business. So, but those things I think are all abating, except for maybe inflation. But those are the types of things that we're up against in this business for sure.
Okay, so despite all of those obstacles, though, your company has no debt. How have you successfully raised funds without incurring debt, and what strategies do you employ to ensure efficient capital deployment?
Yeah, so companies like ours rely on equity financings, and that's what we've done successfully over the past 3 years. Is raise money by selling stock from our treasury. And that allows us to really, invest significant amounts of money in advancing both of our projects, where I think it's safe to say, between 80 and 90 cents of every dollar raised goes straight into exploration and most of that drilling. So it's an efficient way to go. And you look at dilution, but you save debt, and of course there's no debt in the company.
Absolutely. So, Galen, I'm really excited about your mission. Let's talk about some upcoming catalysts that potential investors, should keep an eye on over the next few months.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a really important question. So for us, we've got about $10 million in the bank right now, which is going to allow us to really systematically go out and drill both of these projects for the rest of this year and probably a lot of next year too. So that's really what it is for us. It's a drill-driven discovery story right now, where we're expecting a lot of strong holes, especially in New Mexico, while we take a shot at something big and new in Nevada. So that's really what it is for us. It's drill for the next for the foreseeable future for us.
Well, best of luck to you, Galen McNamara, CEO and Director at Summa Silver Corp. It was a true pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for sharing your unique story, all of these positive and encouraging updates. And we at Global One look forward to sharing more with our audience.
Yeah, thanks very much, Ashley. Thanks for having me on.